All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's start off on the State of the Nation discussion. Now my guests are already with me. Let me start by introducing them from my farthest right. Honorable Professor Tom Ojienda, Kisumu Senator, thank you for making time. Honorable Hilary Sigei, Bomet Senator, asante sana for making time. Thank you. And Honorable Edwin Sifuna, Nairobi Senator, thank you very much for making time. I'll start with you in the order of arrival, and I'll start with you at the farthest point, Professor. On the front page of the Daily Nation, we see a mystery of a call to MPs' guards before killing, but we've covered this story quite a lot. The killing of Ong'odo Were, who's the Kasipul Member of Parliament, has brought in two issues. One, the security lapse when it comes to Kenyans, and secondly, the bile from Kenyans online against the leaders. Have the leaders failed the people?
Thank you, Trevor, and good morning. First of all, I must convey my heartiest condolences to the family of the late Kasipul Kabondo MP, Mr. Ong'odo Were, Kasipul MP Ong'odo Were, who was poised to be the chair of the ODM branch and who is serving a second term in the National Assembly. Of course, with a record of firm support for the party, this is a gentleman who never shied away from speaking his mind. And it is sad that when he lost his life through the gruesome events that took place in Nairobi, where he died after several shots, I think brazen shot aimed at killing, that Kenyans, or some Kenyans, took to the social media to bring out the worst, attacking the family and speaking badly to issues that you do not expect, especially when an honorable man has rested. I think it is not that leaders are hated. It is not that these people spoke to divert attention, but there's a feeling that once a death has occurred in the nature of, through the events that we saw, for instance, that the first thing that must be had regard to the need to investigate, first of all, and we've seen investigations moving quite fast. We have seen the arrest of several suspects. Last night, one of the suspects, one Mr. Aroko, surrendered to the police. And we would want to see that investigative agencies get to the bottom of this matter before the leader is laid to rest tomorrow, the 9th in Kasipul. Now, Trevor, just one thing. As leaders, we bear responsibility to the people, and this responsibility is born out of the knowledge that when we contest elections, there are those who vote against you and those who vote for you. So it is never always a majoritarian love for every member of parliament. You also have, or we also have a few enemies, or people who have some levels of dislike for us. So that we appreciate. But let us honor leaders. Let us honor people when they lose their lives. I know that there was a bit of a spat, and there has been, and I'm sure Mr. Sifuna will speak to this, the chair of ODM, the governor, former Gladys Wanga, also spoke a few, I think, words that in the moment may have seemed to have been, I'm sure, were a slip of the jaw when she laid blame on the floor of agencies without much thought at the time. I'm sure she must have eaten her words, given the fact that now investigations are moving in a certain direction. And clearly, it is almost beyond peradventure that the late Ong'odo Were may have met his death in the hands of people that he knows or he knew very well, associates, friends, and close individuals. And I think what we will see maybe in a few days will reveal when charges are finally brought to court. I think they are the words of the chair of my party. Remember, an ODM stalwart. I think Gladys Wanga should take back her words. Those are very unfortunate.
All right. Sige, are the leaders hated by Kenyans, or are Kenyans themselves heartless, like the Speaker of the National Assembly alluded to?
Thanks, Trevor. Before I say whether Kenyans hate their leaders or not, allow me also to convey my condolence to the people of Kasipul, to the entire parliament, as well as, in very particular, the family of the late Ong'odo Were. He lost his life in very unclear circumstances. It's something that all of us as Kenyans, and particularly as members of parliament, have sent our minds back to the drawing board as regards the security not only of the members of parliament as leaders, but also us as Kenyans. Because the incident that led to his demise is one which is not something to ignore. Getting shot 6 times in a very busy roundabout at such an hour, being a leader, is not something to just let it go and say it's one of those things that has happened. So even as we mourn Ong'odo Were, we should have our eyes, ears, and minds on an alert and expect the relevant government agencies to get into the bottom of this incident, so that we can still have the faith in the security agencies, and also have the freedom that we all aspire to have as Kenyans. As we prepare to put him to rest, we also want to urge Kenyans, leaders, and the entirety of the friends of the late Were and the ODM, as well as the rest of us, to also permit the family to have that comfort and lay him to rest in a peaceful environment. This was the message that all the leaders have across the board shared, and requested that that be the case. And I hope that will be the position. As regards the speculations that has come out, both from Kenyans on social media, which now comes even towards answering the question whether Kenyans are celebrating, for example, the death of a leader or any other person, because they hate or they just dislike. It's not here nor there. I mean, it's not something that I can say for a fact that leaders are hated by Kenyans. Remember, these are the people who elected all these leaders into office. Nobody gets into an office, a leadership position for that matter, without having gone to the people, sold his agenda, sold his desire to serve them, and of course, in a comparison of the various competitors, this is the person who is picked. I therefore do not think that Kenyans hate their leaders. It's only that, as we always believe, negative news sells. Everyone else would want to trend, for example. And if I was to trend by sharing as much negative information as possible, that is almost what the entirety of the social media have. Yes, it is actually. Now, I'm just picking up from what you've just said, because when you look at the people who are doing that, if you were to follow and try to track such comments, you would realize that the same person is sending crazy and very negative messages against you merely because of something that has been published. They've got no relation at all. They've got no interest across the same thing all over. It can never be that everybody is that bad that you just very negative in what you post, what you say, and what you comment on. So it is that aspect of, let me do it, I trend. Although there are some, of course, now who have got political differences, because one of the other things which I've learned over time, in this short stint that I've been in the political environment, the expectation of Kenyans also from among the leadership that is in office is very high. Every small problem, imaginary or real, that an electorate has got, the solution comes from an elected leader. And if they do not get such a solution, the reaction is always to accuse, abuse, and say all manner of things about their inability to serve or their inability to help them at that moment of need.
Right.
It is one of the things that even as we go forward as politicians and as leaders, Kenyans should be able to understand that. For example, the role of a member of parliament is to do legislation, to do oversight, if for instance now is the position of a senator or a member of a county assembly, and sometimes the personal demands and personal expectations to you as Trevor cannot at any given time be made at that personal level, such that
but there's one
the
cardinal
inability,
one, which is representation, and that is where their problem is, that you're not representing them the way they want to be represented. You're not giving their views when it matters the most.
Well, that is one of the areas where, for instance, when you are talking, I represent the people of Bomet in the Senate, right? I speak on their behalf on matters legislation, on matters issue of funds to the counties, and on matters oversight. That, I know, is my core role.
Okay.
What happens is, in an event that I am unable to pay you a school fees, I am unable to give you certain funds that you have demanded from me, I am unable to employ because, for example, such a demand would come. The other responsibilities become periphery. The issue becomes, you have failed. Not because I have not talked about the need to enhance job opportunities for our Kenyans, or the need to enhance resources to the counties. It is because I haven't been able to give you what you have demanded from me. Then the table turns
and now
to be a
hate.
personal thing.
Okay. Sifuna, are leaders hated or are Kenyans heartless?
That's the event in Seoul.
Yeah. First, you know, I take a totally different view on that matter. We first continue to condole with the family of the late Honorable Ong'odo Were. Yesterday, his son Boyd spoke very well at the memorial. As attention shifts to his interment tomorrow, we want to continue to call on the authorities to make sure that they leave no stone unturned in these investigations. The things that make us worry is a perception of some sloppiness in the investigation. For instance, it was only yesterday that the Speaker was confirming that he had now directed the authorities at Parliament to give access to the DCI to the CCTV footage at Parliament buildings, which is quite surprising because many of us expected that because it was known that the final moments of Were began at Parliament, our expectation would have been that the police would have already contacted Parliament to be able to obtain that footage because it is quite critical in terms of investigations. And I suspect that had they done that earlier, in fact, they would have arrested that driver and the guard way before. And there is no knowing what those two individuals have done in terms of interference with evidence in the period between when they were released. I saw them, we all saw them at the hospital with those dramatic reenactments of events at City Mortuary roundabout. So there is no knowing what they have done subsequently to any evidence that might have been critical in the intervening period. That is why many of us worry that there might be lapses and there might be things that are being done that might actually allow the true killers or the people who actually gave the order, what Boyd called the people calling the shots, to get away with this. Trevor, I said yesterday in church that as a leadership of Nairobi as well, we have an explanation to give. Because this is the capital city of the country, we're expected to have the best infrastructure in terms of lighting, CCTV. We have speed cameras these days on the Southern Bypass and on Thika Road, that immediately your vehicle overspeeds, a message comes to your phone immediately. And they tell you this is your first warning or you have been fined a certain amount of money. How is it not possible for us to have similar technology when crime happens? And the area where the actual incident took place, Ngong Road roundabout is a place that usually is manned by traffic police and other police officers. It is very well lit. We expect that there are cameras there, at least traffic cameras, that should be able to provide proper evidence for us to be able to nab these people. It should worry you that people are confident enough to say we can shoot someone on Ngong Road. And it speaks to this attitude on something they know, that it is possible for you to get away with it, and that is something that is worrying. The speaker told us that kikulacho kinguo ni mwako, alluding to the fact that it is possible that, and of course we have seen the reports now, that the people that hang out with us as leaders, the security, the drivers, are potential weak links in our own security, and he has invited all members of parliament to be able to resubmit their security detail for vetting. Now, on the question of whether leaders are hated or not, I think we have largely brought it upon ourselves. You see, the Constitution expects that we will conduct ourselves in a manner that demonstrates respect for the people. And it is not every member of parliament. By the way, a majority of the members of parliament, at least for members of the Senate, they are very respectful when they are addressing matters of the public. This thing has happened cumulatively, Trevor. There is a feeling amongst the public that we do not listen to them. You will remember some of the pronouncements by some members of parliament during debates on critical bills, including the finance bill, saying, oh, wapende wasipende, we will not change a comma. You are clear that the people do not want you to do something, but you force it down their throat because you think you are their boss as opposed to their servant. There are pronouncements that were made during the discussion about that BBC documentary that happened on the floor of the National Assembly. There is a member of parliament whose words are being thrown back at us, who said that people die all the time, we just sympathize and move on, that there is no point of us reliving this history of the protest in July or June of 2024. Now, that is just one member of parliament. It is not a representative, but they say, one bad apple is enough to upset the entire cart. And my brother Hilary Sigei here is a member of the speaker's panel. And because he's a good man, I am sure if a senator were to say something like that, he would not let him get away with it. The reason why we fault the leadership of the National Assembly is that Speaker Wetangula was on the seat that day when that MP for Mandera North made those very unfortunate comments that appeared to, show us as leaders, as people lacking empathy, and that we only care about our affairs and we don't care about what happens to other people. Questions have been asked whether we demonstrate similar outpouring of empathy and sympathy when things happen to the common mwananchi. So all of these things cumulatively, and in fact the fact that the person on the seat that day, Honorable Wetangula, did not call out this member of parliament. So it appears like it is a representative of the general view of the National Assembly and by extension the entire parliament. So when his words are thrown back at us, we really cannot also start crying and saying, oh, you guys are being unfair and so on and so forth. But the only criticism I have is that, traditionally, when somebody dies, we tend to, just speak about the things that he did that were good in our view. Because I feel that it is unfair, Trevor. If you have beef with Sifuna, if there is anything I've done in this city, if I've beaten anyone, stolen anything, can you make those accusations when I still have the ability to defend myself? Because when I'm lying there in a casket, honestly, it is a bit unfair because, I cannot defend myself. If there are things that Sir Charles Ong'odo Were is accused of, and by the way, on both sides, we hear that reports were made, accusations of violence, including from Charles Ong'odo Were himself. He has said many times that he felt like his life was in danger. There are people who have accused him of things that amount to criminal conduct. I mean, what has the police done in terms of investigating any of these things? But it is a bit unfair to make accusations on a dead man. He can't defend himself. I wish these accusations were given the sort of prominence that everybody is giving them, including you in the media. I found it strange that suddenly you have the time and the effort to go and look for those families of the person who's disappeared. I wish those things were done, Trevor, when this gentleman was here, so that even we who are his friends and colleagues can put those questions to him and tell him, Bona Boss, can you explain these things?
Do Kenyans deserve an apology? Because yesterday you seemed to be apologizing.
Absolutely. You see, for me, as I have described, as I've explained, I believe that there are things that we as leaders have said and done in the past, on the floor of the House, in our conduct in public and in private, that has led us to this point where Kenyans don't feel that we are part of them, that we are this elite group who doesn't care about what happens to the ordinary folk. So I feel that this is personal. As Sifuna, many people might see it differently, but I feel like as a leadership, we have fallen short. And we owe an apology to the public that there are things that we have said and done that cast us in very bad light, that did not meet the threshold in Chapter 6, where we did not demonstrate the respect expected for the people who elected us. That is why I offered an apology. And it was a sincere apology on behalf of the entire political class, at least those who subscribe to my point of view and my way of thinking, because at the end of the day, we need to repair this society. This society is in a terrible place. The anger that we see and we feel out there is not healthy, by the way. It is not healthy that we can stay in a state of anger for all that time. Okay. So we need to start speaking and listening to each other, to try and repair the relationship between the leadership and the public. Okay.
Speaking of repairing relationships, we'll talk about that in just a bit on the issue of the broad-based government, because that is one thing that we're talking about, the new political realignments and political intolerance. But we're taking a quick break. When we come back, we're getting into that conversation. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak.